There's YouTube. Hello. Let me get my screen up here. And we can take a look at what's happening. There we go. Cool. So let's see the arrests. Oh, well, there's something related. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I got to tag that. That's interesting. Third arrest. Okay. Oh, they got this guy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this one, the professional agitator.
As you can see, all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters.
Well, now you're going to get a little taste of camp yourself, my friend. Off to camp you go.
You come here to a man wearing a suit is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No! Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians, but we know you live in Egypt.
Psychotic. Glad they got that one. That one needed to be handled. Okay.
So you know, Pam Bondi, you want to come and arrest me? You want to come and give me charges? So be it. And for all the people giving me death threats, threatening my life, kill me. Go ahead, kill me. Because you know what? As Fred Hampton said, you can kill the revolutionary.
You're no Fred Hampton, son.
You can't kill the revolution. So
Fred Hampton, you are not. Nope.
A local school district here is alleging ICE agents detaining a 5-year-old after preschool on Tuesday. We've also seen multiple American citizens detained by ICE or harassed by ICE in the last 6 weeks. Are you proud of how your administration is conducting this immigration crackdown?
Yes.
Well, I'm proud of the
fact
that
we're asking yes.
standing behind law enforcement, and I'm proud of the fact that we're enforcing the country's laws. But, you know, you asked a question about this 5-year-old kid. I actually saw this terrible story while I was coming to Minneapolis. We just left Toledo, Ohio this morning for an economic messaging event. And I see this story, and I'm a father of a 5-year-old, actually, a 5-year-old little boy. And I think to myself, oh, my God, this is terrible. How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up research. And what I find is that the
who's to blame here? Yeah.
5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien, and then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death?
Let him go roam the streets alone. Duh.
Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America? If the argument is that you can't arrest people who have violated our laws because they have children, then every single parent is going to be completely given immunity from ever being the subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make any sense. No one thinks that makes any sense. Now, you know, there are so many of these cases like that where if you just understand the context, there have been a number of situations that I've looked into personally where I say, wait a second. We don't want ICE arresting American citizens. They're supposed to be enforcing the immigration laws against illegal aliens. So then I look into it and I find out that the American citizen who was arrested took a swing at an ICE officer. You can't have that happen. And of course they have to defend themselves. And of course they have the right to detain somebody who assaults a law enforcement officer. Now, this is my point. Do we want these things to happen? Do we want these arrests to be so chaotic? No, we don't. These guys want it least of all. But if we had a little cooperation from local and from local and state officials, I think the chaos would go way down in this community.
Oh, you bet. They want the chaos. That's why the chaos is happening. Okay, now when do we get to the this one. This creature here. Didn't she give an interview? I thought I tagged that. Oh God. Oh, that's why I'm not seeing it. Okay. Wasn't in my tagged posts. There we are. Yeah, she gave an interview, like I guess mere hours before being arrested must have been.
And I do want to correct something that was said in the beginning. We did not rush into that church.
You know that this is on video, right? Like the whole thing?
We actually went and sat down and participated in the service. And
like all of it, the whole thing on video, right?
And after the pastor prayed, that is when I stood up and asked him a question in response to his prayer. And then he responded to me.
Oh, did you asked him a question, huh?
And then I proceeded to ask him about Pastor David Easterwood and how is it possible for him to serve as both the pastor and the director of ICE for Minnesota. And instead
probably by multitasking or apportioning his day appropriately.
Responding to me.
Spends part of the day being a pastor and the rest of it cracking skulls.
As soon as I said the name David Easterwood, the pastor says, shame, shame. And that is when I led us in chants, justice for Renee Good and hands up, don't shoot. So I want to clarify that. We didn't rush in. We didn't bust in.
Except for, when we did.
We were a part of the service until I got up and posed that question to the pastor.
All right. And obviously, I'm not going to dispute your saying what happened.
But isn't that kind of your job to do that? To, I don't know, dispute alleged facts, especially when they're so clearly not true?
Merely describing how CNN is describing it.
Oh, wait, never mind. It's CNN. My fault.
Wasn't in the room. But that moment that you're talking about, and obviously the way you lay it out could dramatically affect things, but the moment you talk about justice.
People. Jonathan?
Here they are.
Slogans diminishing every day, it seems. Truth Social quote.
Oh, no, that's just a story about them. Insanity. All right. What is all this business? Okay, that's ended last night. Excuse me. Why are they always so fucking... Well... Oh, yeah, there's the other one. Another winner of the genetic lottery. I mean, just look at it. Currently in federal custody as number two arrest. One of the organizers of the Minnesota church invasion runs a nonprofit that is, go figure, a slush fund for all of her extravagant spending. Seems to be a pattern with these people. In 6 years, her salary has significantly exceeded all of the money that the nonprofit gave out. Wow. The largest donor was none other than the Walton family. Like Walmart. Yeah. Pardon-moi. I need tea. Oh, Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla got butt mad, I guess, today. He had a public melty. He had a melty at the World Economic Forum over growing numbers of people refusing the jab.
It's a different world when you start discussing vaccines. There is almost like a religion there. So I'm very concerned, very frustrated with that. But I continue engaging, and we have, as I said, a very strong and respectful, both ways, relationship, and we can chat about that.
So sort of discuss the things that you can get agreements on and park the issues that you kind of fundamentally disagree on. Works for a while, but it's not a sort of sustainable kind of thing for years to come. Something has to change, no?
The Secretary of Health.
Yes.
It's a different world when you start discussing vaccines. There is a lot.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, here we go. A federal magistrate judge has refused to sign off on the DOJ's charges against Don Lemon, according to multiple reports. So they were, or are, currently trying to get him charged. But an activist judge, yet again, every damn time, running cover. Several other avenues AG Bondi can take to charge him, and she intends to take them. Good. Ah! One of the perp walks.
Lockup's in there. We'll bring her in. She'll stand off to the side. I know this only because I just did it once.
Boy, oh boy. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Bum, 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 bum. Sheesh. One too many fried chickens, you think? Jack Smith can't answer where $35 million of taxpayer money went during his sham investigation. Oh, yeah, that's right. He was on the stand.
How much more money did you pay confidential people we don't know about, with American tax money going after the guy we elected president?
My recollection regards the $20,000, which was not a payment from me. It was me approving a payment by the FBI to a confidential human source who was reviewing video and photographic.
Who's the source?
Evidence. I do not know the identity of the source.
How many other payments went to this source or other sources?
As I sit here, I do not know the answer to that question. My role as special counsel,
$35 million, and you're giving money to people the country doesn't know who they are, and you're giving their hard-earned money to these folks?
Yes.
The main question I have, too, with this is, why'd you have to do it? You subpoenaed bank records from the RNC.
Well, he doesn't really know.
Phone records from members of Congress. You got subpoenas for bank records for people sitting right there on the front row. Why did you have to pay people for information when you could subpoena them and get it?
You don't get anything from old Jack. Commander Bovino himself deploying tear gas.
I'm in the gas. Get back. Gas.
Gas. Gas. Gas.
Warning. Gas on it. Warning. Gas on. Hey. Gas.
Ah.
You just get back. Get here. I'm in.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. U.S. magistrate judge who refused to sign off on Don Lemon's arrest warrant, Doug Micko. Pardon me again. I promise I'm going to go get the tea in a minute. Is married to an assistant attorney general in Keith Ellison's office. Conflict of interest indeed. Wow. That's nice. What do you want to bet he got a call? Okay, down the pile we go. What are you doing, Bobo? Come on. Boy, quite a bit to try to blow through today. Let's see what we can do. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious, busy day. You know, that stuff with Jack Smith and the arrests. We'll see what we can pop through. Oh, there's the first one, this moron. Can't wait to see her dragged in front of a court. That should be quite a show. The U.S. withdraws from, officially from the World Health Organization today. Bye-bye. Okay. Trump saying Jack Smith's being decimated before Congress. It was over when they discussed his past failures and unfair prosecutions. Ooh. Destroyed many lives under the guise of legitimacy. He's a deranged animal. A deranged animal. Who shouldn't be allowed to practice law. If he were a Republican, his license would be taken away from him, and far worse. Probably. Almost certainly. Here we go.
It was always about politics. And to get President Trump, they were willing to do just about anything. January 7th, 2023, Kevin McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House. 16 days later, Jack Smith issues a subpoena for his phone records. Phone records from 2 years prior for a 2-month time frame, Election Day 2020 to January 7th, 2021. Jack Smith and the Biden Justice Department get the phone records of the top Republican in government, the guy second in line to the president. They know who he called, who called him, when the call took place, and how long it lasted. You can pattern an individual's life. They know who the speaker talked to before big votes, who he talked to after big votes, when he calls his colleagues, when he calls his family. And to add insult to injury, they go to the judge with the subpoena for a gag order on the carrier. AT&T, don't tell your customer, the Speaker of the House, that you just gave his phone calls to Jack Smith and Joe Biden. And here's the kicker. They say to the court, we need this gag order because he's a flight risk. Someone might tamper with witnesses or with evidence. Are you kidding me? The Speaker of the House is going to run? They got my phone records for 2.5 years. Even the Democrats said this was wrong. But of course, we shouldn't be surprised. Democrats have been going after President Trump for 10 years, for a decade. And the country should never, ever forget what they did. Over the next few hours, we're going to hear a lot of yelling and screaming, I assume, from the other side. But we should never forget what took place, what they did to the guy, we the people, elected president twice. It all started in 2016 when they spied on his campaign. The Clinton campaign hired the law firm Perkins Coie, who hired the public relations firm Fusion GPS, who hired a foreigner, Christopher Steele, to put together the fake dossier. Bunch of garbage in that document, but that was used by Jim Comey's FBI. And we all know Jim Comey. He was the guy who just last year was strolling along the beach when the good Lord had the waves wash up on shore seashells in the formation of 8647. That guy took that dossier to the FISA court, lied to the court, and then spied on the other party's campaign. This, of course, led to the Mueller investigation, 2.5 years, 19 lawyers, 40 agents, $30 million to find nothing. No conspiracy, no coordination whatsoever. Then it was impeachment 1, the anonymous whistleblower. We couldn't even know who was bringing the charge against the guy they were trying to take it, the guy we elected, who they were trying to kick out of office. We couldn't know. Secret hearings in the bunker, in the basement of the Capitol. Again, Nothing. Then it was impeachment 2. No secret hearings here because they didn't have any hearings. It was the snap impeachment, and the Senate trial actually took place after President Trump wasn't in office. Then, of course, it was Alvin Bragg, who said before he got elected district attorney that there was no case here. Then he gets elected and changes his mind when the left starts pressuring him to go after President Trump. He hires Michael Colangelo, former Democrat National Committee consultant, and the number 3 guy at the Department of Justice. And then, of course, it's Bonnie and Nathan, Bonnie Willis and Nathan Wade in Fulton County, Georgia. We actually deposed Mr. Wade, one of the most interesting depositions I've sat through. We said to him, you know, you billed taxpayers in Georgia thousands of dollars for meetings in D.C. with the January 6th committee and with the Biden administration. And we asked him some questions. Who'd you talk to, Mr. Wade? He couldn't remember. We said, where'd you meet? Did you meet the Capitol? Did you meet the White House? Where'd you meet? Couldn't remember that either. We said, were these meetings in person, on the phone, or did you have a Zoom meeting? Couldn't remember, couldn't remember, couldn't remember. We finally just asked him, did you really come to D.C. and meet people? He said, oh yeah, I came. And I billed the taxpayers. I know I came. Just no idea who he talked to or what he did. And then there was the raid on President Trump's home, you know, where they searched Barron's room and the First Lady's closet. In our deposition with Stephen D'Antuono, head of the FBI Washington field office, he told us none of the normal process, none of the normal protocol was followed in the investigation. He said, first of all, the case was run out of D.C. Normally you run it out of the Miami field office. No, we're going to run out of D.C. He said he recommended, and the people in the FBI at the time in the Washington field office recommended they give the president notice before they do the search, or at least when they got there, before they start the search, call the president's lawyers, ask them to come there and meet them and conduct the search together. Again, the answer from Maine Justice was no. Which brings us back to Mr. Smith. On November 18th, 2022, 3 days after President Trump announces he's running for president, Attorney General Garland names Jack Smith special counsel. One of the first things Mr. Smith does is put on his team the very people responsible for the raid on President Trump's home. The very people. And then Jack Smith also puts on his team the people responsible for getting the phone records of dozens of members of Congress. People like Thomas Wyndham, who, when we deposed him, took the fifth 71 times. We've actually referred him to the Justice Department for obstructing our investigation. Jack Smith then gets a gag order in his investigation on President Trump from Judge Chutkan without filing a single affidavit with the court from a witness or a potential witness that they felt threatened by statements from the president. Stop and think about it. Jack Smith restricts the speech of the former president while he's a candidate for president. Thank goodness Mr. Smith was slapped down on appeal and the order was changed. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, the Washington Post editorial page, Jack Smith would have blown a hole in the First Amendment. I just want to read 2 sentences from this. Mr. Smith seemed unconcerned about interfering in the democratic process by seeking to muzzle a candidate for high office. 3 appellate judges, all nominated by Democrat presidents, ruled that Mr. Smith's proposed gag order infringed on President Trump's First Amendment rights. And of course they did. And this wasn't the only time Mr. Smith lost in court. In the classified documents case in Miami, Judge Cannon held that Mr. Smith was not permitted to be special counsel. Jack Smith was never properly appointed. In fact, he couldn't be properly appointed because he was never confirmed by the Senate for any position in the executive branch as the law requires. Here's what Judge Cannon stated. Quote, the special counsel's position effectively usurps that important legislative authority, transferring it to a head of department and in the process threatening the structural liberty inherent in the separation of powers. And of course, on July 1st, 2024, the United States Supreme Court ruled that President Trump had immunity for actions taken in his official capacity as the president. 1 month later, after this decision by the Supreme Court, Jack Smith files a superseding indictment on August 27, 2024. But Mr. Smith doesn't stop there. He does something unprecedented.
Oh.
On October 2nd, he files a motion with the court before President Trump's defense counsel has even responded to the indictment. Everyone knows the normal process is the government indicts, the defense responds with some motions, and then the government responds to the defense. But Mr. Smith skips the second step. And the brief that he files is 165 pages, almost 4 times the court limit. Even liberal Judge Chutkan, who's given Jack Smith everything he's asked for in the course of this investigation, even she called it atypical and irregular. Now, why would Jack Smith do that? Why would he abandon proper procedure? Why would he ignore court rules? Why would he do that? Because he's running out of time. There's an election around the corner. It's coming in 33 days, and he's got to get President Trump. He's got to stop President Trump from running, tie him up in court. He's got to get to trial, or at a minimum, insert an 165-page political document into the presidential campaign. It was always about politics. The good news is the American people saw through it. They saw through it. For so long, the left has...
Okay.
Withhold that information from an Article III judge in the process of taking the records of the Speaker of the House.
We complied with Department.
Did you hold
Mr. Chairman, would you please instruct the gentleman to allow the witness to answer the questions?
It's not your time. I'd like my time back.
Mr. Chairman, you have repeatedly done that in the past. The witness has the right to answer the question.
And there'll be due time to answer the question. Would you please put my time back and let me finish this? Mr. Smith, I asked you a question and you were not responsive to it, and I want you to be responsive to it. Did you, whether you think it was legal or not, whether you think it was right or not, did you withhold the name of Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House, when you were seeking records on Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, or Jim Jordan, the chairman of this committee?
The time of the gentleman is...
No, please give me back the time and take it away.
Time has expired, but we're going to let the witness answer your question because it's an important question. The witness can respond.
We did not provide that information to the judge when we requested a nondisclosure order, consistent with the law and consistent with Department.
Mr. Chairman, the amazing thing here today is that we have an admission that an Article
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman's time has expired by now 34 seconds.
It gets more than 5 minutes.
How many times you interrupt me?
The time belongs to the gentleman from California, but it has expired.
I will be brief in my address to the chairman. We have the evidence that an Article I representative on behalf of the president withheld that Article III.
Mr. Chairman, are we demanded the same leniency?
And with that, I yield back in disgust of this witness.
God. He just looks like a scumbag, doesn't he?
Yes, sir, we did.
Yes, you did. And the subpoena covered the time period between November 2020 and
Brandon Gill. Good guy.
January 2021. Is that right?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you say that again?
We're not going to delay like this. The subpoena covered the time period between November of 2020 and January 2021. How many days after Kevin McCarthy was sworn in as Speaker did you subpoena his records?
I don't recall, but those two things had nothing to do with one.
It was 16 days after becoming the highest ranking Republican in the House of Representatives. You subpoenaed his toll records. Do you agree that that might reasonably be considered a violation of the speech or debate clause?
I do not, and I want to be clear that the toll records...
You were collecting months' worth of phone data on the Republican Speaker of the House, the leader of the opposition, right after he got sworn in as Speaker, all around the time of a major vote. That sounds like a flagrant violation of the speech or debate clause to me, and I think most people agree with me. And Speaker McCarthy had no recourse, did he? Because you issued a non-disclosure order ensuring that neither he nor any of the American people knew about these subpoenas. Is that right?
The toll record, the non-content toll record subpoenas, we did secure non-disclosure orders for those subpoenas.
You did. And let me ask you, Mr. Smith, at the time you secured those non-disclosure orders, was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
The non-disclosure order was based on concerns about...
Was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
He was not.
He was not. Then why did your non-disclosure order refer to him as a flight risk? It says right here, the court finds reasonable grounds to believe that such disclosure will result in flight from prosecution.
Sir, when securing a non-disclosure order, the risks don't have to be associated.
You think that the Speaker of the House is a flight risk?
The question?
No, this is not your time. This is my time. You think the Speaker of the House is a flight risk? You think he's going to hop on a plane and leave the country?
No, what I was trying to explain is with respect to a non-disclosure order, the risks aren't necessarily associated with the subscriber to the phone. They're the risks to the investigation.
I think that you were using, this was clearly in reference to Speaker McCarthy, and you were using clearly false information to secure a non-disclosure order to hide from Speaker McCarthy and from the American people the fact that you were spying on his toll records. But I've got more, so let's move on. In May of 2023, you also issued subpoenas for toll records of 9 U.S. senators and an additional representative. Is that right?
In May of 23, we did issue...
You did, and there were non-disclosure orders in conjunction with those subpoenas as well, right?
That's correct, consistent with department policy and the law.
So again, nobody would know what you were doing. The senators would, and the representatives would, and the American people wouldn't know what you were doing. Is that right?
The toll records that we secured and the non-disclosure orders were consistent with policy and...
And you knew whenever you were doing that there was a risk you were violating the speech or debate clause. Is that right?
The toll record subpoenas that we secured were with the concurrence of the public integrity.
Your own analysis says that you knew there was a risk you were violating the speech or debate clause. I have it right here. This is an email from John Keller at Public Integrity Section to your team. As you are aware, quote, as you are aware, there is some litigation risk regarding whether compelled disclosure of toll records of a member's legislative calls violates the speech or debate clause in the D.C. Circuit. That's from your own analysis right there. So you did know, didn't you?
Sir, with respect to the item you just put up on the screen, the last sentence states...
we're going to get to the last sentence.
Okay.
We're going to get to the last sentence. And you cite case law in here, quote, the bar on compelled disclosure is absolute. Is that right? Or do you think that you didn't have to abide by that precedent?
To be clear, this statement is not from my office. This is the statement of public integrity.
This is your justification for those subpoenas and NDOs that you ordered. This was part of your analysis. It's a cursory analysis. I think it's worth noting. But let's get to that last sentence then. Quote, given my understanding of the low likelihood that any of the members listed below would be charged, the litigation risk should be minimal here. In other words, you're using a novel legal theory, which you knew was novel, has never been tested by any court. You're not charging any of these members. Nobody's going to know about it because you issued NDOs. Nobody's going to sue about it, so who cares? We're going to do it anyways. I mean, you walked all over the Constitution throughout this entire process.
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman's time has expired.
On members of Congress, and you know it. It's absolutely disgraceful. I yield back.
Gentlemen,
All right. Okay, cool. Sorry, just taking care of some business stuff in the background. Crowd of American workers just erupted for J.D. Vance in Ohio as he walks on stage. I mean, you would expect that they would applaud. I would hope.
Now I'm headed from here to Minneapolis, where we're going to talk with some of our ICE agents,
nice.
talk with local officials, about how we can turn down the chaos. And my simple piece of advice to them is going to be, look, if you want to turn down the chaos in Minneapolis, stop fighting immigration enforcement and accept that we have to have a border in this country. It's not that hard.
Don't be rude. Don't be rude.
If you look all across our country, what's happened in Minneapolis is happening almost nowhere else in the United States of America. And that's because whether it's in Texas or Tennessee, it's in red states, it's in blue cities, even within our country, most people are cooperating with the simple principle that we ought to be able to enforce our immigration laws and get illegal criminals the hell out of the United States of America. It's really not that complicated. But in a few distinct cities, you see this craziness because the far left has decided that the United States of America shouldn't have a border anymore, and they are willing to fight and penalize and dox and even assault our law enforcement officers in order to fight for the basic principle that anybody ought to be able to come into the United States of America. Well, I'll tell you right now, the Trump administration, we reject that. We are going to get illegal criminals out of our country, and we're not going to let a few left-wing radicals stop us.
Yeah.
In Washington, D.C., those Democrats...
Can't hear that.
Or do we reward the crazy far-left Democrats who think that America is one big get-rich scheme for fraudsters?
Ideally, no. We would not do that.
That's simply the question. So I'm asking you, are we going to fight for the people who are fighting for the American dream? Are we going to send a message to the far-left radicals that this country belongs to American citizens, not to illegal aliens? Are we going to fight for the American dream for people like my grandmother and people like your children every single day? So let's remember what we're fighting for this November. It's to have political leadership in this country that fights for the American people, that fights for the American dream. Don't forget it, my friends. Let's work hard. Let's elect these great candidates to higher office, because that's the only way we are going to send a message to the Democrats that this country belongs to Americans and that the American dream belongs to the citizens who built this nation. God bless you, and thank you for having me.
All right. Takes questions from reporters, huh? Oh, neat. Not gonna watch the whole thing, but let's check out a bit.
I appreciate that, but I'm going to take a few questions from the reporters, and then we're going to hit the road.
Mr. Vice President, John Kostick from News 5 in Cleveland. President Trump outlined the framework of a future deal on Greenland yesterday. NATO this morning, however, said the Secretary General did not propose any compromise on sovereignty. What's your understanding of what is in this plan, and would you stand for something that did not include ownership even beyond where the bases are located?
So, John, first of all, it's good to see you again. John is, this is going to ruin his reputation among his liberal media peers, but John is one of my favorite journalists in the state of Ohio. He's a great TV journalist from Cleveland. And I used to joke with John that if he ran for high office, maybe back in 2012, 2013, he would have won, because his name is almost exactly the same as John Kasich. And that if he ran in 2024, he would have got his ass kicked. So it's amazing how things change, John. But I see you're still doing great things on Greenland. First of all, we're here to talk about the great American comeback. And that's what the president is focused on. That's why the president went to Davos. You know why? Because he wants more investment from all over the world in the United States of America. You'll hear this number thrown out, $18 trillion of new investment. You know what that means? That means new factories, that means new plants, that means new oil refineries and new energy facilities in the United States of America. Because for so long, our government had the policy that we were going to invest in other countries. No. We want other countries to invest right here in the United States of America, and that's why the president went to Davos, to say that America is open for business, but America is open for business so long as you're building right here in Toledo and all across our great country. That is the message. Now, on Greenland, simple fact is Greenland matters to American national security because our entire missile defense relies on security in the Arctic. This is something the media who's obsessed with Greenland, they completely forget why Greenland matters. What if, God forbid, I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but what if a foreign country launched a missile at the United States of America? We would need control over the Arctic in order to shoot that missile down. Our entire missile defense system depends on that Arctic security. Meanwhile, the Chinese and the Russians and even the Danes who control Greenland admit that they want to control that facility. They want to control that island, that landmass. That would make us weaker. That would make our country more endangered. That would mean that if the president is negotiating with a foreign leader, he would have less leverage because they would be able to realistically threaten the sovereignty and the territorial safety of the United States of America. We're not going to let that happen. The negotiations with NATO are going fine. I believe, having seen this for the past year, that when the president sets his mind to accomplish something in negotiation, he accomplishes it. And fundamentally, NATO and the Danes and everybody else have to recognize the simple fact that this matters, not just to American security, but to world security. So we're going to keep on trying to make sure that we secure that landmass so that we can protect the American people, as we've done and will continue to do. Thank you. Whoever's next. The lights are very bright, so I can't see, but whoever's got the microphone, just shout out a question.
Mr. Vice President, Henry Gomez, NBC News. President Trump this week said that ICE has made some mistakes. I'm curious what steps...
Okay. We'll keep moving. Sorry, I was just finishing up the bit of business I had to take care of there. I had to send off a W-9. Okay. President Trump appoints Dylan Johnson to Assistant Secretary of State for Global Public Affairs. All right. Sounds exciting. Not really sure.
Lockup's in there. We'll bring her in. She'll stand.
Saw that. Okay, Jack Smith getting questioned by the Nadster.
How would you characterize the evidence against Mr. Trump about inciting an insurrection against the laws of this country? Did you have too much?
With respect to the charge of insurrection, we did not charge that. As I set forth in my report, I believe that there is, courts have found that that was an insurrection and that there's a reasonable interpretation, a reasonable prosecutor could interpret the evidence to support that charge. I chose not to do that, looking at the facts in the law. I thought the charges we brought were appropriate, given the evidence that we had.
Careful talking about insurrection there, Nadler. I mean, you're in the middle of an ongoing one right now. You don't want to say that out loud. Careful, dude. Oh, Michael Fanone.
And this ain't the first time that we've
fucking moron
seen ICE and CBP abuse their power. It's probably the millionth fucking time that we've seen this happen. And it's not even the first time that someone has been seriously injured or lost their lives. And so these politicians and these local, state, and municipal law enforcement agencies need to wake the fuck up. I appreciate the foul language coming out of the mouth of, the mayor of Minneapolis. And I think that his sentiment in the moment was appropriate. That being said, what are you doing? What are you directing your law enforcement agencies to do to protect your citizens? How are you going about doing that? I don't need to hear from the chief of police that we all need to remain calm and protest peacefully. Fuck you and fuck that. What are you doing to keep me safe? What are you doing to keep my mother safe, my sister safe, my community safe from these thugs? That's what I need to hear coming out of these agents or these officers. Because if you're not going to do it, then it's time for the American people to organize and to utilize their Second Amendment right to protect themselves.
Oh, really? Is he really going there? Are you shit? Did you really just whine about, oh my God,
from what has clearly become an unaccountable and lawless agency?
Astonishing.
That's killing Americans.
How could he? It is just mind-boggling, bro.
And this ain't the first time that we've seen ICE and CBP abuse their power.
Unbelievable. All right. Burchett on a run. I hope we shut those evil bastards down. They treat women like cattle. Dadgummit. And throw gay folks off buildings.
It's just an effort to get people together, like-minded people that want peace in this world. I don't see a problem with it. Biden has done it. They'd give him a Nobel Peace Prize, and they'd give Biden, they would have given Obama another one. So, yeah, I just think getting people together, like-minded folks, I think it's a good way to do it. You can call it whatever you want to.
What do you see as President Trump's next concrete step toward Iran?
I hope we shut those evil bastards down. They're killing people, and we're getting reports 5,000. It's probably 20,000 folks. You just never know. I mean, it's an evil regime, and they oppress people. They treat women like cattle. Throw gay folks off of buildings. We don't have anything to do with them. We need to shut them down economically. And then if that doesn't work, maybe other options on the table.
Thank you.
Congressman, what do you make of Congressman Norman's amendment to strike earmarks from spending packages?
I think it's a great idea.
You think
we're back down that same old path. Norman's a principled guy, and he gets it, and he knows there's a lot of corruption in those earmarks. Well, maybe not legally corruption, but ethically, I think there's some problems there.
You think we'll see some broad support there? Or not?
No, this place doesn't have enough guts to do it. They can get out of their own way. They talk conservative, they get elected, and they come up here and sell the country down the river.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, President Trump pushing to make fake and fraudulent polling virtually a criminal offense. Something has to be done about fraudulent polling. Even the polls of Fox News and Wall Street Journal have been, over the years, terrible. There are great pollsters that called the election right, but the media does not want to use them in any way, shape, or form. Isn't it sad what has happened to American journalism? But I'm going to do everything possible to keep this polling scam from moving forward. Yep, he's suing him. He's suing the polls, I guess. Okay.
There is a number, and it's called all of them. Yep, you bet. All of them. We're not going to allow criminal illegal aliens to walk the streets and have more Molly Tibbetts, Jacqueline Nungare's, and all the other ones. I mean, you're worried about numbers. I'm worried about the deaths of Americans. Let's talk about that a little bit. Maybe Jacqueline Nungare, what her last moments were like. How come we never talk about that, and you're worried about numbers? Wait, no, hold on. Numbers? Jacqueline Nungare. Numbers, but your numbers, Jacqueline Nungare, well, actually, we never hear about her or the other thousands of American citizens. I'm worried about that vastly more than a number or a date. We're going to make Mom and Pa America safe. President Trump is, Secretary Noem is, and we're going to get them all. Did that answer your question?
Heck yeah. Good man.
So as we were looking to conduct that targeted enforcement against some very vile criminals, we were met with resistance. One of those criminals that we were after was Victor Urice. Mr. Victor Urice, a target that we were after yesterday. This individual is a convicted felon from Mexico with serious weapons offenses, fleeing from police, and a criminal rap sheet so long that I can't remember it all. That's who we were after yesterday. Now, as we were after Mr. Urice, we were set up on rioters who tried to stop us at every point yesterday. Simply using the restroom at a gas station was met with significant resistance.
Good golly.
A lot of people would call that stalking. I don't think any of us
would it is. That's precisely what it is.
To be stalked, but being stalked for 8 or 10 hours at a time is not a very favorable climate. Hey, folks, where were the cops yesterday? Where was Minneapolis Police Department during that 8-hour stalking events? Anybody care to venture a guess? I'd like to venture a guess, and it's I don't know. So it's that climate we're talking about. Violent mobs of rioters who became violent towards the end of the day. Our very last stop at a gas station was met with violence. Individuals that perpetrated violence against our Border Patrol agents, forcing us to take action, not against Victor Urice, the individual that we were after, but to take action against those violent anarchists who didn't want us to catch Victor Urice, if you can believe that. Absolutely unbelievable. Hey, where were the cops during that 8 hours of stalking and violence? Where was Mayor Fry? Where was, I don't know, Governor Waltz? I didn't see him around anywhere. You know, there's a saying, I think Thomas Paine said that in one of his pamphlets, Common Sense. He said politics and politicians on their very best day are barely tolerable evil. Is this Mayor Fry's very best day yesterday? Oh, I don't think so.
No,
Absolutely
sirree.
not. So put yourselves as the media and the press there. Would you like to be stalked all day long with folks that want to hurt you all day long? Think about that. Also, I'd implore upon you to report that. We were forced to utilize less lethal devices again yesterday to keep the public safe, to keep the Border Patrol agents safe, and so that we could continue to conduct that Title VIII mission. That's our job here. We're not going to be deterred in conducting the Title VIII mission, no matter what that climate is, no matter that violent rhetoric by Mayor Fry, Waltz, and others, individuals that come into churches, as Mr. Charles said. We're not going to be deterred from that.
All right. Times Siena poll, which is always tremendously negative to me, Trump says, especially just before 2024 election, where I won in a landslide, will be added to my lawsuit against the failing New York Times. Who dis? Serbian President Alexander Vučić.
This is my 12th time in Davos.
Sheesh.
I'm a veteran here. There are no people here around us that were present here for so many times. I have never seen so many people, to tell you the truth. And people are not applauding to anyone. People here are because they are concerned about their future. Company representatives, state leaders, prime ministers, members of governments, whoever. And nobody's jubilant. Nobody's not laughing, nobody's smiling. Because people don't know what tomorrow will bring to our countries. And of course that we do worry a lot, but connecting us, bounding us, this is a solution for us. At least we cannot diminish, but we can decrease the pressure on our country, and we can find some good solutions as a common denominator for all our smaller countries in Eurasia region.
You're afraid admits to harboring criminal illegals in the jails, proudly refuses to cooperate with ICE. Of course.
You don't believe.
I think that's from yesterday. FCC cracking down on liberal talk shows, not giving equal airtime to GOP guests. They're finally doing it. That's good. OpenAI just hired Gavin Newsom's chief of staff as its vice president of global policy. Oh, wow. Anti-Trumper Anne O'Leary has also worked as the director of Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential transition team. Yeah. Not a dime to OpenAI. Nope. Not for me. Not for Scam Altman. Okay, federal judge refuses to charge Don Lemon. We saw they're going to get him. They're going to get him. Don't worry. Trump sues JP Morgan over debanking. A lot of suing going on. Good fun. Michelle complains that people know her for being Barack Obama's wife. No. I mean, that's close, but it's not quite it. Barack Obama's. I'm trying to think of a polite word.
I was a dean of students. I was like, oh, you guys, all of that just disappeared in the course of this whole election. And you now see me as just Barack Obama's wife.
With a penis.
So that made me.
Wife with a penis.
Say, what
we'll go with that.
Quickly. My shoes become the most important thing about me, right? And again, not unique.
Well, what about your penis though? Because I could have sworn that was what everyone cared about and kept talking about, not your shoes.
To me, it can happen to the best of us. So I shied away from fashion leading the conversation, but I knew I didn't completely control it. So let's lean in. I was a dean of.
It's definitely the penis. No one cared about the shoes. Sorry. We all saw it swinging, Michelle. Okay, Oversight Committee examining the MLK assassination. I didn't know that was going on. Huh. Okay. Training of pilots for the CCP happening in the U.S. What?
Take a second and explain to the people how in the United States of America, we are training, sometimes at taxpayer expense, the very pilots who are going to be the pilots that go after carrier strike groups in the South China Sea, in the Straits of Taiwan, when the invasion of Taiwan, which is coming, comes, sir.
Yeah. Well, so China has a pilot problem, Steve. They need 5,000 new pilots every year, military and commercial. They can only produce 1,250 domestically. That's what the Chinese government says. So what they've done is they send pilots over here to train, paid for by the government, by the way. It's $90,000 per student to come and train to the United States. They're being trained right now at an Air Force base, a former Air Force base outside of Merced, California. This was a base that was crucial in World War II. It was crucial in the Cold War. It was mothballed at the end of the Cold War. You had a flight school established. It's owned by a Korean investor. It involves a lot of Chinese. They're training at that air base close to 1,000 pilots a year. And what happens is these thousands of pilots come and train in the United States. They go back to China. The best pilots that train in the United States then go on for advanced training by the People's Liberation Army Air Force. The rest will become civilian pilots. But even China's civilian pilots have a military purpose. And that's one of the things the Pentagon has talked about for years. So think about that. We're allowing this to happen, an adversarial country that says that they are a war with us. It's unrestricted warfare. It's disintegration warfare as they've defined it. And we are literally training their pilots at a time, by the way, Steve, when we have a shortage of domestic pilots inside the United States. It's stunning. That's something I think that can be fixed almost immediately by simply saying, I'm sorry, we're not going to grant student visas to pilots come and train to then fly against us in a possible future war.
Out of control, man. Crazy. Jasmine Crockett drops the hood speak. Brands herself as a gun-toting, farm-loving Texas. Oh, she code switching all day, baby.
Listen, I'm a gun-toting Texan, right? So I own firearms. I'm licensed to carry, and I also care about agriculture. Way before I was running for the United States Senate, I served on the Ag Committee. I'm the girl who's actually lived in rural Texas. I'm the girl that has actually driven farm equipment. So, I mean, that's a little different than what you...
Bullshit.
you normally see or normally think. But for me, it's just a matter of not wanting to roll back people's rights. You know, I believe that workers should have protections, whether it's from the heat extremities, or I believe that, you know, we should have a criminal justice system that actually works for everyone. I believe in very basic things. I believe in Medicare for all, which at some point in time, I'm sure people were like hair on fire about that. But in a state that leads an uninsured, in a state in which we have so many people that are currently on the marketplace, and now they are not going to get those tax subsidies, when over 90% of the people that actually are on the Affordable Care marketplace here in the state of Texas need those subsidies and use them. Right now, this is really life or death. So I don't think that people are really concerned about labels. What I think they're concerned about is who is going to fight for them to make sure that they have access to health care, a job, housing, and food.
Ain't gonna be you.
Yeah, I'm afraid, like I'm scared.
Oh, seriously? Cash-strapped Met Opera lays off 24 employees, cuts salaries as funding deal with the Saudis falters. Uh-oh. Oops. Oh, how nice. Entire office buildings being discovered in Portland, Maine. Each one, pardon, misspelled there, packed with home healthcare companies that are rarely staffed.
It's the same thing that we're finding in Minnesota, just to be completely blunt, Elizabeth. The same tactics being used to defraud Medicaid.
But they're doing it in every single state.
In this case,
everyone.
Zombie houses, zombie offices, I call them, where large clusters of home health care businesses and providers in one location. We saw them in Minnesota, and we're seeing them here, and the business owners and building owners that we speak to here say enough. We're here in Portland, Maine. We found of the businesses that are registered in here, of the 20-something businesses, 10 of them are home health care businesses. As you can see, Prestige Home Care, Bright Star Home Care, Atlantic Community Support, 5 Stars Home Health Care, Prime Home Care, LLC. It's a trend we saw in Minnesota, one that the Minnesota House Oversight Committee on Fraud tells News Nation is a giant red flag. Large clusters of healthcare providers in one location. This building right behind me has 22 different home and community-based healthcare companies registered in the building. Inside this Portland office building, owner Ron Nevins agreed to speak with us.
I think I got 10 healthcare companies, which is probably about half, maybe a little less than half of this building.
Healthcare, home healthcare. I didn't even know what home healthcare was. Do you think these businesses are actually legit businesses?
No.
Some, yes, but some I highly question.
Yep. Okay, Elon Musk. Oh, yeah, that's right. He was at Davos. Yeah. Spoke today, I guess. Haven't seen it.
I heard about the formation of the Peace Summit, and I was like, is that PIEC? You know, a little piece of Greenland, a little piece of Venezuela.
we got one.
All we want is peace.
Okay, I'm going to...
I heard about the formation of the Peace Summit, and I was like, is that PIEC?
Trump signing the Border Peace Charter. Early this morning. It must have been like, what, 5 o'clock? Oh, Swalwell showed up for work today. Nice. White House finally backs impeaching the rogue judges accused of partisan rulings. Good. It was only a matter of time. They've been working on this for a while. Behind the scenes. A lot of people have. They're getting ready to handle business here. Okay, reps continue. Okay, Tim Burchett, let's see.
Everybody, Tim Burchett. Asked a few questions in this oversight committee on the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. I think it was a complete cover-up. I think James Earl Ray was dupe. He was a half-assed criminal, second-rate criminal. They caught him in London, England, dead broke. Had a '68 Mustang. Guess what? It was 1968. And had a '68 Mustang at the airport. And, that just didn't happen. That thing is covered up. I don't know if we'll ever, even Dexter King, Dr. King's son, didn't think Ray pulled the trigger. That Ray went in the testimony. I talked about it, though. He had one foot on a toilet seat and another foot in a bathtub. And then after the next day, they came out there and somebody cut all the brush that was in front of the flop house he was in, where King was at the Lorraine Hotel. But anyway, I doubt we'll ever know. But it's questions that need to be asked. And it was a pleasure meeting Miss King, who was Dr. King's niece. So anyway, thank y'all for sitting me here.
Okay. Wow. Hennepin healthcare workers unions in Minnesota are sending messages to their members asking them to leave work and protest against ICE. Yeah, the people responsible for your healthcare. Very serious people, clearly. More concerned with whining about ICE than they are with caring for you and your health.
This is the beginning of what's going to happen here.
Okay. AG Bondi and DOJ pushed to charge Don Lemon, but a Minnesota magistrate judge blocked it. Yeah. Bondi reportedly enraged at the decision. Oh, I'll bet. It's been just, I mean, it's over and over again with this shit. Every time they try to do something, whether public or not, at DOJ, they get stonewalled and hit with bullshit like this at every turn. Every freaking turn. It's bad. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Head of March for Life. Trump admin ends funding for research using aborted baby tissue. Good. Okay.
On the day of JFK's inauguration, 48% of all State Department, quote, employees in the political section were not actually State Department employees at all. They were CIA under diplomatic cover. While they were parked at a U.S. embassy, they did not answer in the chain of command within the State Department. They were covert operatives for organized political warfare being carried out by the CIA, but because they dominated the political section of the State Department, they could set their own political policy for the country. If the State Department did not want to overthrow that regime, but the CIA did, then the CIA could simply use the bandwidth of the political section of the embassy to make contact with the various dissident groups, to run money to them, to help them logistically, to connect them, and run a parallel operation without it observing the typical White House National Security Council chain of command. And he gave examples where he said in some embassies, 80% of the political affairs staff are CIA, not even State Department at all. In fact, who was Joe Biden's CIA director? Bill Burns. What was Bill Burns before he became head of the CIA?
A buddy of Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, yes. In the 1990s, Bill Burns was the head of the political section for the U.S. Embassy in Russia. Bill Burns, we're told, never worked a day at the CIA in his whole life before he was handed the reins to be the CIA director. Right? He was a State Department guy the whole time. But where was he at State? He was the head of the political affairs section.
Oh, he was at the
on the
CIA.
day of JFK's inauguration.
Yeah, basically.
40.
There's no difference. Never has been. State and CIA are just Two different faces of the same coin. Okay. Covered those. Line Congress is a crime. Who we got? Jack Smith.
I made the decision to make the charges in this case.
In regards to the way that the case handled from there, sir, I just want to get this on the record. In regards to your press conference, politics played no role, correct?
That is correct.
The charges you brought, politics played no role, correct?
Correct.
The expedited trial date played no role. Politics played no role, correct?
I followed the facts and the law, department policy.
The speedy trial request, there was no role in politics, correct?
That's correct. Supreme Court precedent emphasizes that.
And even your brief that the court found atypical, politics played no role.
Mr. Chairman, the time's expired.
I made the decision to make the charges in this case.
And in regards to the
No, you didn't. You may have put your name on the papers, but you didn't make the decision. MS Now conspiracy theorists. How bad is it?
In a social media post, quote, deranged Jack Smith is being decimated before Congress. As always, it's a long post. And so then I'm going to jump to where he calls Jack Smith a deranged animal, says he shouldn't be allowed to practice law, and quote, hopefully the
deranged animal
Attorney General is looking at what he's done. The whole thing was a Democrat scam. A big price should be paid by them. There's the full tweet or post. Keep it up, guys, so folks at home can read that. But when he says, hopefully the Attorney General is looking at what he's done, Barrett, was that a call to action? Is that how you read it?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who doubts that, you know, as you were saying, that this potentially could be a trap, all you have to do is look at that language to know exactly how at least the president is thinking about this.
Shut up, silly woman.
Ukrainian President Zelensky calls for European leaders to create a new world order. Oh, he said the line. He said the line.
We need something to replace the old world order with. But where is the line of leaders who are ready to act? Act now, on land, in the air, at the sea, to build a new global order. You can't build the new world order out of words. Only actions create real order. We need something to replace the old world order with.
Vladimir Putin meeting with Mahmoud Abbas at the Kremlin. Mahmoud, sorry. Happening at exactly the same time that Trump is launching his new border peace in Davos. Democrat mega donor and CEO involved with the healthcare company who donated $500K to Gavin Newsom's California Democrat gerrymandering map just got exposed. Okay. Who dis?
So we're having a discussion today about why health insurance costs so much and how we can better allocate ratepayer dollars to healthcare costs. Mr. Markovich, I was pretty astonished last year when I heard that Blue Shield had contributed $500,000 to a committee supporting the passage of Prop 50 in California. Prop 50, as everyone in this room knows, was an effort to shift 5 congressional seats from Republican control to Democrat control. It's a pretty transparent, partisan undertaking that passed. Reasonable minds can disagree whether or not that's something that should have been supported. I myself feel like mid-cycle redistricting erodes voters' trust in our elections and our democracy. I oppose doing it in Texas. I oppose doing it in California. Reasonable minds can have a discussion about that, but I was just astonished that a health insurance company would wade into a political debate in such an enormous way. Why on earth did you do that?
Well, respectfully, Congressman, we didn't do that. What we have a long history of Blue Shield of California is contributing to candidates from both parties at the federal and state level, including Governor Schwarzenegger, Brown, and Newsom. And we try to support candidates that we think will be thoughtful about healthcare policy. And this contribution to a fund that did not have a specified purpose is something we committed to as a part of that. After that contribution had happened, the governor then purposed those funds for Proposition 50, and our plan did not take a position on it.
Okay, to be clear though, these were two different checks for $250,000 each to a ballot measure committee, not a candidate. I mean, we understand supporting candidates, but this was to support a ballot measure. So if not Prop 50, what ballot measure did you think you were supporting?
Well, we didn't know, neither we nor the other healthcare companies.
You wrote a $500,000 check not knowing what ballot measure you were supporting?
We and other companies, including other healthcare companies, all contributed to this account, and it's not uncommon, particularly in California with lots of propositions, where candidates would prefer contributions to these types of accounts as opposed to direct contributions to their campaign support.
Oh, well, now knowing what you know, do you regret having made that contribution? Knowing that, I mean, this was the only, Prop 50 was the only proposition that this committee supported.
Well, we did not support or oppose Proposition 50. We didn't take a position on that. So, it's a decision we consciously made going in, as did others, and just didn't have control over where it went afterwards.
All right, well, you in your testimony said that you think that our healthcare system needs some tough love. Respectfully, I'd like to offer you some. When a health insurance company wades into such an obviously political topic like that, it not only erodes your ability to work with folks on the other side of an issue, but also erodes consumers' trust in the system as a whole. So please don't do that again. Mr. Helmsley, I represent a very...
Okay. See, Jack Smith defends probe into Trump and GOP. Oh, Chip Roy here talking to him.
Well, let me ask you this. Am I on this list?
DOJ enemies list? Yeah.
Am I on this list? Did you target my records and subpoena my phone toll records?
My understanding is your records were subpoenaed by prosecutors before I became special counsel.
Well, staff would put this up on the screen. I'm thankful for the great staff who discovered the email where I learned for the first time a few weeks ago that my phone records were indeed targeted.
Oh.
We called AT&T and we've learned that they were given to the Department of Justice, as this email indicates, because I had been in communication with Scott Perry, one of my colleagues here in Congress, who literally had his phone taken from him in front of his family. And of course, as we've already talked about in this document, it talks about you could be in violation of the privilege by even obtaining and possessing this information if the member objected to the disclosure. This happened 4 years ago in May of 2022, and I couldn't object because I didn't know. I didn't know until about 3 weeks ago. My question here is, was there any limits to your investigation or the investigation that preceded you, Mr. Smith? Because as egregious as a violation of separation of powers this is, as an egregious and abuse of power it is, it's far more concerning you are clearly targeting American citizens for merely being conservative or supporting the president. We've got memos that we've already been talking about in this hearing from April 2022 that preceded you that establish and open the investigations, one of which has Attorney General Merrick Garland's signature on it. And the focus was the electors. Now, that was 6 months before you were appointed. You testified earlier, you met and interviewed Merrick Garland and Deputy AG Lisa Monaco, and you briefed the AG and deputy multiple times. Did you brief them on the electors and the prosecution of their supposed crimes?
Did I? I'm sorry.
Did you brief them on the electors and their supposed crimes?
I don't recall specific conversations, but I'm sure that in the course of briefing them, I discussed.
Wasn't that the purpose of the entire investigation as it was set out? Because putting aside that in 1960, it was already talked about, my friend Mr. Tiffany, that Hawaii put forward an alternate slate of electors, the investigation pivoted to President Trump and, frankly, anybody who knew him. Do you know who Cleta Mitchell is?
Yes, I do.
She's an election lawyer that was involved in filing an election contest on behalf of President Trump in Georgia in December of 2020. A 64-page complaint with over 1,100 pages of exhibits, witness affidavits, and expert witness reports documenting thousands of votes cast in violation of Georgia law, but which were nevertheless included in the vote totals. Now, notwithstanding the disposition of the cases that was filed, is that a criminal act? Filing an election contest on behalf of a candidate for office, a client. Is that a criminal act, yes or no?
No, in fact, we
So why did you deem it appropriate to monitor Cleta Mitchell's long-distance phone records in 2023, 2.5 years after the election contest was filed and after the presidential electors were certified? What about Jen Ellis? What about Sidney Powell? What about Bill Sepien? What crime did you suspect had been committed by them that would warrant monitoring their phone records 2.5 years after the 2020 election was certified?
With respect to Sidney Powell, she is one of the co-conspirators alleged in the indictment. I don't know what you mean by monitoring, sir, if you're talking.
Well, there were some 400 plus Republican conservative groups and leaders who were targeted by your investigation. Their financial records were obtained, records of the RNC, the Trump campaign, Cleta Mitchell, the Conservative Partnership Institute, the America First Policy Institute, NRCC, NRSC, PACs, conservative groups, people all across the country, citizens, because we hear a lot about members of Congress. And we should, because of separation of powers and the egregious abuse of power. But what we're not talking about enough, in my opinion, are the American citizens that have been targeted. Because frankly, are there any limits to the power of a special prosecutor or special counsel? So much so in your abuse of power that in the summer of 2024, the indictment involving classified documents was dismissed after determining your appointment violated the Appointments Clause of the Constitution, but you continued to sign your name on court filings until the time you resigned from office in January of 2025. A federal judge just recently stated a prosecutor who continues to sign his name in court filings after a disqualification order should face disciplinary action or disbarment. I yield back.
Or disbarment. Or disbarment. We'll go with that. Yeah. Just a huge escalation in Jack Smith's hearing in the audience. Oh boy. The old cue ball himself was there, huh? Ivan Raiklin had Michael Fanone hot and bothered. Interesting. Was he? I mean, Raiklin is always at these things. You'd be hard pressed to like go to DC and not see Ivan Raiklin like scurrying around somewhere. he's literally like everywhere. It's crazy.
Working tirelessly.
I see him at every court hearing I attend. Literally every single one.
To uphold the rule of law. Those who attack and smear you and your team in order to protect Donald Trump should be ashamed of themselves.
There he is. There's the old shiny bald head right there up front.
I yield back.
Someone yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
No shame.
Sir.
Treating these people that way.
This guy is threatening my family.
Members of the audience,
my children.
members of the audience will please sit down and remove themselves from the committee room.
Rape my children, you sick bastard.
What is he saying?
Members of the audience will please sit down and remove themselves from the committee room.
Threatened to rape my children, he said?
Rape my children, you sick bastard.
I mean, Raiklin's a weird one, but I don't know that I believe that.
Rape my children.
Sit down, please.
God, he is looking. Is he really wearing a Dropkick Murphys shirt? You fucking loser. Get out. Guy's stuck in high school. It's the only way you'd ever allow yourself to be seen in public with that at his age. I mean, good God. What are you going to do? Fucking, what an idiot. Nope. All right. Who else is there with the shirt? Fighting Nazis. Was that him? Was that him again?
Making a spectacle unnecessary. Imagine what he did on January 6th. These are the 4 witnesses, the U.S. Capitol Police and Metropolitan Police Department officers that lost their cool that day and attacked unarmed, peaceful First Amendment rally attendees on January 6th. That's the law. My name is Ivan.
Media love him because Raikkonen will just say inflammatory shit. Like he'll just say it.
I'm making a spectacle unnecessary. We will.
That is it. No more meltdowns. Okay, Harriet Hagman. I like her. She's good.
Committee provide you with the Cassidy Hutchinson testimony as part of the trove of documents that you received?
As I sit here now, I don't recall, but it would.
Well, you're familiar with her testimony, aren't you?
I am.
And in fact, wouldn't you agree with me that Ms. Hutchinson's testimony, especially the most explosive allegations made, was comprised of hearsay upon hearsay upon hearsay? Come on, you're an attorney. Mr. Smith, you can answer the question. Of course it was hearsay.
Of course, he could answer the question.
And hearsay
Will he? No.
Inadmissible in a court of law, is it? Why? Because it is inherently unreliable and the victim or the target of a prosecution is not able to cross-examine. Isn't that correct? In fact, Mr. Smith, if you had attempted to walk into court with Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony, you would have been thrown out on your ear. No judge, no legitimate judge would have ever allowed the testimony of Cassidy Hutchins to be admitted in a court of law, would they?
I disagree.
Well, and then we've already talked about your record.
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady's time has long since expired.
The time of the gentleman.
All right. Oh, come on. Oh, that moron.
Canada doesn't live because of the United States.
Yeah, it does.
Canada thrives because we are Canadian.
No. I mean, if you want to test that, go ahead. Trump says, I'm announcing today the United States intention to bid for the World Expo 2035. The great state of Florida has expressed strong interest in hosting the expo in Miami, which I fully support. Miami Expo 2035 can be the next big milestone in our new golden age of America. I'm appointing Miami native Secretary of State Marco Rubio to chair the efforts. It'll create thousands of jobs, add billions of dollars in growth to our economy. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be pretty cool. Go World Fair again. More on Raikkonen and Fanone. Big man Fanone, big guy. Wow. Real tough guy.
Why are you so spasmodic? Absolutely.
What are they saying?
All have our trainers. Why are you so steadfast? Absolutely. Look behind you.
Excuse me.
Why should I?
Excuse me. No, not this guy. Not this guy. Not this guy. Oh, give me.
God, Fanone's such a fucking idiot. I love it. He's such a fucking moron. It blows my mind that they keep using him because he is like just he's so fucking stupid and has so little self-control. Like he just leaves himself wide open for this. He begs for it. He wants it. Lives for it, clearly. I mean, look at him.
Sir, you have no shame. No shame. You have no shame. Treating these people that way.
This guy is threatened my family.
Unbelievable.
Threatened my children. Threatened to rape my children. Or rape my children.
Are you really suggesting that Ivan Raikkonen threatened to rape your children? I mean, really?
Children, you sick bastard. Rape my children.
Yeah, just say it louder and maybe people will believe you.
Don't touch me. Do not look.
Pakistani Minnesota judge Zia M. Faruqi has refused to sign the charges that the DOJ brought against Don Lemon. Oh, really? I mean, there's no link to confirm that that's the judge, but this is Minnesota we're talking about, so. Jack Smith predicts he will be criminally indicted. You bet. You bet you will be.
And Mr. Smith, do you believe that President Trump's Department of Justice will find some way to indict you?
Have. Found a way.
I believe
found a way. That is. They haven't hit him yet, but it's coming.
they will do everything in their power to do that because they've been ordered to by the president.
That's very concerning, obviously. It's very concerning to all of us, at least on this side of the aisle. This is Trump's playbook at work. Complain loudly, gin up hatred and resentment, then express a hope that somebody will do something, but never explicitly order anyone to act, and then watch as his followers and loyalists go after their targets.
So is that similar or different to what Tim Walz is doing in Minnesota? Same or different? Same or different?
This is what happened on January 6th. Trump stood at the Ellipse and gave a campaign speech to his supporters. And he said, if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Oh boy, oh boy. All right, Vance took time to stop and personally thank law enforcement. All right. Nice. Walking out, flanked by ICE and border patrol officers.
Good. So I want to thank the law enforcement officers behind me for being here. I'll answer a few questions, but I want to say just a few things at the outset, just about what I've learned today and what I'm trying to do here. You know, first of all, I want to give a shout out to the Annunciation school shooting families, because, you know, the last time I was in Minneapolis, it was, of course, to meet with some of those families. I understand that a couple of the students have made near miraculous recoveries, and just that was a very special moment for me to be invited into that community at a time of grief. And I hope that all of them know that though I didn't get to see them this particular time, I've been thinking about them and their families quite a bit.
Out like a moron with
now, to talk about what I am here to do.
No, there's more. Oh, great! There's more of Fanone getting. It blows my mind that they keep putting him out there. He's such a fucking idiot and has so little self-control. Like he is a walking, ticking time bomb for them, and they keep putting him out there because they have nothing else. So I can't wait to see this. All right, did you text this to me?
I sent it to you on Twitter DM.
Okay. Yeah, let's jump to that.
running Jack Smith too, which was also hilarious.
Oh, she got Jack Smith too, huh? Nice. Way to go, Kara. All right, let's see. Here we go. Fanone up first.
Officer Fanone, how are you today?
I'm great.
What happened in there?
What are you talking about?
Officer Fanone had a melty. That's what happened.
Confrontation.
Jack Smith testified
you're-
about how
No, about your meltdown. We're talking about your meltdown.
he had
Your public meltdown.
beyond reasonable doubt that Donald Trump incited, orchestrated, and funded the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6, 2021.
It seemed like there was a fight in there.
No, there was no fight.
Is it true, Officer Fanone, that you turned off your own body camera on January 6th?
No.
I saw your body cam. You turned it off yourself. You were playing dead. I saw your body cam footage.
You're a fucking
What am I?
right-wing conspiracy theorist.
I saw you turn off your body cam footage, sir, but thank you for disrespecting me. Psychopath. Officer.
Oh yes, he is. He is so he's such bad news for them. It's so funny.
Like hiding out at a place in the mountains and threatening to shoot federal officers.
Oh yeah.
And they
still trot him out there.
It happened like he's totally normal.
Blows my mind every time I see him. It's so nuts. Is it being cute? Yeah, silly cat. All right, let's see the next one. Okay. Where's number 2 here? Anon again. A different one? Oh, it's just a different angle of this one, yeah.
This guy is just threatening my children,
Like, did he really try to suggest that Ivan Reikland threatened to rape his children? Like, come on, dude.
rape my children. Rape my children, you sick bastard. Rape my children.
Maybe if you say it one more time, people will believe it.
Don't touch me. Do not fucking touch me.
Oh, tough guy. Yeah, tell the lady cop, don't touch me. Yeah, that'll show me how tough you are.
Thank you. Yes, we appreciate you. We appreciate
Oh my God, they are so nuts. Total hero. OMG. Celebrity.
So he doesn't create any other problems with us today.
That's Ratskin piping up there. How nuts. How absolutely insane. I love that. All right. More, please. What's next?
Convicted ringleader of the $250 million Minnesota welfare fraud scandal, telling Fox News she believes the state leaders knew taxpayer money was being stolen and did nothing to stop it.
But I guess, how high up do you think the message went that there was fraud? Like,
all the way.
Do you think it made its way to the governor's office?
Oh, you bet.
I struggle to believe it didn't. I have to believe that the governor's office and Keith Ellison's office were aware of this. They've said they were involved in helping the FBI. They've said they were made aware.
A spokesperson for the state attorney
Someone's in doo-doo.
General
Deep doo-doo.
responding, saying in part, quote, treating the words of a convicted fraudster like Amy Bach as though they have any credibility is shocking. She is a liar, fraudster, and manipulator of the highest order who has never acknowledged or accepted her guilt. Convicted.
But yes, she has, like, in an interview just the other day. Fuck off. Like, you're one to talk, Keith. WEF elites admit secrets about geoengineering artificial rain and say BlackRock is behind all of it.
The ability to put software tracks out there is actually pretty cheap.
I think this is just a short version of the longer one from the other day.
Way to cool down the earth.
Yeah, I was just at the one of the events, and I support the work you guys are doing.
Yeah. All right. Pete Ducey, Fox News reports Trump may fly over Greenland on his trip home from Davos, adding that Greenland's foreign minister just said that she thinks this is all good news out of Davos. Hello? Am I crazy here, or is there no sound? Okay, there's no sound. Yeah. Oh, whatever. Timu Obama.
The verdict is clear. Donald Trump and Republican policies have been a complete and total failure, a disaster for the American people, and the American people know it. The cost of living is way up, and the quality of life of the American people is way down.
Okay, big dog.
And Republicans
Speak for yourself.
continue to be focused on all the wrong things. This week, the Republican focus has been on Greenland, Jack Smith, and Bill and Hillary Clinton. That's their focus this week.
I wonder why that would be.
Not driving down the high cost of living for everyday Americans.
Oh, they're doing that too.
In an environment where there is an affordability crisis that is crushing working class folks, middle class folks, and the American people all across the country.
Meanwhile, yo bitch here in Virginia is raising taxes on every damn body. So how exactly are y'all going to fix that? Oh, you won't.
House Democrats are going to continue our focus
Making everything worse for everybody.
on making life better for the American people.
The disgraced former CNN host Don Lemon was part of the crowd that went into that church. He's suggesting that his
disgraced indeed
interviews and cell phone video were part of journalism. There has been some suggestions as well that the DOJ would look at his behavior in that incident. He doesn't get a get out of jail free card because he's self-described as a journalist.
Activist.
No, the freedom of the press-
Activist. There's a difference.
Extends to a lot of different areas. It does not extend to somebody just trespassing and being embedded with a group of rioters and being part of the group that storms inside of a church. So as our Assistant Attorney General said yesterday, we are absolutely investigating that conduct, and the fact that man, that Mr. Lemon, thought that was a good idea to do that and then to race away from it saying it was freedom of the press. Well, we'll see.
The disgraced former CNN host Don Lemon was part of the crowd that went into that church. He's suggesting that his interviews and cell phone video were part of journalism. There has been some suggestions as well that the DOJ would look at his behavior in that incident. He doesn't get a get out of jail free card because he's self-described as a journalist.
No. Yeah, that's not happening. Everyone serious understands that the justice system is rigged, Stephen Miller says. Oh, yeah. Far-left prosecutors, magistrates, judges, and juries unhesitatingly shield their violent activists and gleefully imprison their political opponents. Unrigging the system is necessary for the survival of the republic. Yeah, it is. And this right here is precisely the hang-up at DOJ that the higher-ups are running into, Blanche and Bondi, and even on up to the president himself. System is massively, over the course of decades, entrenched, and they'll defend this one. It's most important to the last breath, tooth and nail. So it is easy to, get frustrated. Don't get me wrong, I do too. And of course, if anyone's going to get blamed for it, it's going to be the person at the top. Unfortunately for Ms. Bondi, that happens to be her. But reality is a little more complicated than that. It's a lot more complicated. They're dealing with a mess, and unfortunately, they don't really have a roadmap to follow. I guess is what I'm going for. Like they don't really. They this has never been done before, not this way. Certainly not to this scale. Nothing even close to approaches it. They've got to write the book themselves, and they have to do it with the established powers that be fighting tooth and nail every step of the way. You know, they've got to, and these are people that know the system already inside and out, are already entrenched in it. They're faced with like coming up with unprecedented and novel legal theories in some cases to try to weave their way through the mess. There are, I can tell you this, there are a lot of people meeting, trying to figure this stuff out every day. It's quiet, but it's going on. It's busy. All the right people are doing it. So Stephen Miller's acknowledging it. They're going to be doing something about it soon. This is an urgent message. An Islamic group is plotting to build their own epic city like they did in Texas and Vero Beach, Florida. And there's a zoning meeting tonight. They want a Dearborn in Florida. They'd be overjoyed.
Florida is arguably the greatest state in the United States. As a guy who's been almost everywhere in the United States, I can tell you that there is no comparison as far as where conservatism and freedom rings true. This, Florida, is the best of the best. In fact, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else other than Florida. I wish I would have spent my entire life here versus wasting half of it living in New York. With that said, I have been for years, decades actually, 2 decades, I have been always reminded every single day of what I lived through on 9/11 when I ran from the Twin Towers. I was one of the people who had the white sut in your hand you saw running in the street. I've always vowed that I would never ever forget that day and the people who carried it out. I would never forget the dangers of Islam and how it is that in 1991, the Muslim Brotherhood wrote a doctrine that was found by the FBI, and it was presented in what was called the Holy Land Foundation trial. And that doctrine said that the way to take down America is to take it over from within. Take over the government, go into the schools, take over the media, businesses, you name it, buy lots of land. The number one video of all the thousands of videos that I have created, the podcasts, the movies, the shorts, it doesn't matter. The number one video of all time was when I exposed what Dearborn, Michigan looked like, and that was nearly 10 years ago. It has only gotten worse. We have seen huge movements from the Muslim communities to try to create these huge Mecca-like societies in our states. The most prominent one is called Epic City, which has now been changed to the Meadows in Texas. And the people of Texas have done everything they can to curb this. Well, the same people who are developers in that project and funders of that project are now aiming at Florida, specifically Indian River County, which includes a few different cities, one of them called Vero Beach. Tonight at 6 p.m., the zoning board is going to have a special meeting about this epic city lookalike that would happen in Vero Beach on the west side of 95, where there is a ton of agriculture, farms, ranches, you name it. I have enough experience to realize that this will happen. It will be built, and it will slowly but surely create Vero Beach and Indian River County into what looks like Dearborn or New York City, or God forbid, the Epic City in Texas. There's a way to stop it. It's through arguing about the agricultural changes that cannot be placed, to focusing in on zoning. Yes, everybody who is not a Muslim wants to keep that sort of faith away and not destroy the culture here in Florida. But ultimately, we have to focus in on zoning. The other part as well is that Florida has designated the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization, and therefore any funding that is directly or indirectly from them that can be traced back, well, that also helps matters too. The problem is that these developers are starting to become very creative and developing, or I should say forming, one LLC after the next. It's a chain. It's all designed to hide where it is that the funding is coming from. So tonight, when you go to the planning board and you sit in front of the people who have been elected into office or other people who have been appointed as consultants or whatever, you let them know without any hesitation that you will do everything possible to preserve life in Indian River County and Florida, that you are not going to be the next Dearborn, Michigan, and that you're not going to see agriculture and zoning and what is right and wrong when it comes to traffic and all the other different jazz that comes along with stopping one of these sort of things. That's where you focus on, and you scream it loud, and you tell them that you will have people primary against them, and you tell them that you will do anything that you have to do within the confines of the law to make this go away, and so this way it could never happen. That's how it's going to work, come hell or high water. I know that on September 11th, I lived hell, and on September 12th, I promised not only myself, but victims, families of 9/11, that I would never, ever, ever forget a single day. There are a lot of other people, very prominent people, who have forgotten, not me. So I urge you, please, if you live in Indian River County, just look it up. You'll find it now online. In fact, on my X page and on my Facebook page later today around noon, I'll have all the information that you need to know in order to be able to go there and do your part. And if you don't live in Florida, if you don't live in Indian River County, I ask you please to share this message anyway, because it's one of those deals where you think, that would never happen to me. That's what I thought when I moved to Indian River County. So don't get caught with your pants down. Do your part and share this video, especially with anybody who you know lives in Florida. I appreciate it.
Okay.
The fact that we're standing behind law enforcement, and I'm proud of the fact that we're enforcing the country's laws. But, you asked a question about this 5-year-old kid. I actually saw this terrible story while I was coming to Minneapolis. We just left Toledo, Ohio this morning for an economic messaging event. And I see this story, and I'm a father of a 5-year-old, actually, a 5-year-old little boy. And I think to myself, oh my God, this is terrible. How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up research. And what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien, and then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America? If the argument is that you can't arrest people who have violated our laws because they have children, then every single parent is going to be completely given immunity from ever being the subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make any sense. No one thinks that makes any sense. Now, there are so many of these cases like that where if you just understand the context, there have been a number of situations that I've looked into personally where I say, wait a second, we don't want ICE arresting American citizens. They're supposed to be enforcing the immigration laws against illegal aliens. So then I look into it and I find out that the American citizen who was arrested took a swing at an ICE officer.
Sheesh.
Yes.
think local law enforcement accuse federal agents of racial profiling. Why are there so many U.S. citizens being caught up in these operations?
Well, I think your question assumes something that's not necessarily in evidence, which is that when there are American citizens who have been caught up in some of these enforcement operations, very often it is people who have assaulted a law enforcement officer. They're not being arrested because they violated the immigration laws. They're being arrested because they punched a federal law enforcement officer. That is a totally reasonable thing. Yes. Local officials here in Minnesota could solve. Yes, sir.
Could you give us a message towards the March for Life tomorrow, especially regarding this cooperation and family values? It's a shame the kids have to get caught up in all this, and towards that. Sir.
Well, it is a shame that kids have to get caught up in this. I am speaking at March for Life tomorrow. I'm pro-life, and I'm very excited to speak there. I want to talk about local law enforcement, but I am. As a child, I saw people in my family get arrested. It's terrible. It's heartbreaking, it's chaotic, it's traumatic for the kids. I can recognize that, and I can recognize that we got to support these kids, while on the other hand saying that just because you're a parent doesn't mean that you get complete immunity from law enforcement. And I think we have to hold both of those thoughts in our head at the same time. We've got to be sympathetic to the kids who are caught up in some of these enforcement actions. We've also got to say we have to enforce the law without bias, with fairness, but we've got to enforce the law.
Mr. Vice President!
Thinking about local government.
JD Vance just used the traditional Minnesota state flag instead of the Somali-ized one. Really? Yeah, look at that. Cool.
Good afternoon.
Good for
everybody.
him.
How we doing?
Good.
Good. So
That's great.
I think it'd be a reckless decision on their part.
The president mistakenly called Greenland Iceland. His speech is slurred. He's got bruises on his hands. Are you at all worried about the president's health or his decline at all?
Is this a serious question? This president sleeps about 3 hours a night. He outworks everybody in this building by a factor of 2 or 3.
Yeah, what?
I think it'd be a reckless decision on.
All right. Oh, you know what? I just realized we are at the top of the hour here. That came up fast. Okay. Well, let me pop my shirt off here. I guess I'm done. It's it for me. LC is in, and I'm going to go kick it. So, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am chilling. Getting ready for fucking insane snowstorm, I guess. We'll see.
Yeah, so they say, right? It kind of sucks because we're going to Florida this weekend and it's going to be like the coldest it's going to be there all year. So, but it'll still feel nice. It's,
yeah, how cold are we? What's cold for Florida?
Yeah, exactly. It'll still feel very nice, but
like the 50s,
no swimming
maybe?
or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And we've had like no snow. It's been the worst winter ever. It's getting cold finally, and I think we'll pay for it in snow eventually. But just I don't know what the deal is. We like no snow.
Yeah.
You guys are going to take it all for us, it looks like.
This will be the first. I mean, other than this, we've had just like a sprinkling.
Yeah.
Bit here and there.
Yeah, and the storm's not even coming down through us. It's just like starting in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys can go sledding or something, have some fun.
Oh, we are totally going to go do that. Yeah.
Nice.
Gonna have a blast.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. Well, how's the youngest?
Oh, he's good. He's doing really well. We'll see how he does on an airplane.
Yeah,
that's always a little bit treacherous.
The first flight. Yep.
Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm motivated to get my own airplane. So
right. Oh my god.
One of these
I would
days.
so love to have a small plane.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It'd make life so much easier. Just trying to do this is such a pain in the butt, and packing for everybody. And then we got to take them there, and then 4-hour layover in Minneapolis, and
Yep.
We'll see. Could go great, could go very poorly. Our daughter's been in an airplane, but she was fine. I don't know how she'll be now though, because she's nutty. She's loony,
Yeah.
but everyone's doing well.
Cool. That's good, man. All right. Well, I will let you get to it, sir.
All right. Well, say hi to Radix and the kid for me. You guys have a great rest of your week and weekend and have some fun in the snow, and I'll see you next week.
Sounds good, bro. See you around.
See ya.